Hey everyone, it's Karen, and on this episode, I'm going to be talking about the birth of fashion magazines. So I've decided to put a little bit of the magazine in with the modeling channel, only because I, again, didn't want to touch a lot of base on this a lot, so on the modeling anyways, only because I couldn't find a lot. I could only find like the first few things. So I figured put a fashion magazine in on it. So this will be the last episode for this channel. And then we'll start going to our next channel, which is about cameras. So let's dive right into this last episode, shall we? The women's magazine, as we know it, a lavishly illustrated celebration of consumption and beauty aimed at a popular audience, emerged in England in the 1870s. In a 1994 paper for the Journal of Design History, Christopher Breward explains how this new format grew out of shifting views of a woman's role in society. Breward writes that the 19th century brought a new populist model to women's publishing, which had been since the 1700s an elite literary affair. Better printing equipment, a falling newspaper tax, and a rising literary rates brought magazines to more household. The first popular interest British fashion magazine started up in 1806, but the 1870s and 1880s brought a new variety to genre. Graphics were heavy with a focus on women's positions in the public world. In 1875, there was a 20 such title. By 1898, there were 30. One magazine explained that it featured on fashion and decorating, had the aiming of being useful, everything is to be seen. Brewer notes that, I just totally messed that up. The aim of being useful to others who are prevented by duties or distanced from visiting those houses where the best of everything is to be seen, Brewer notes. Sorry, I literally skipped a whole sentence. Notes that another unstated purpose of the features was promoting advertiser products. Either way, he writes, the central idea was building a feminist consumer culture. Brewer writes that women of this era were navigating contractions inherent in the way people understood the separate spheres of men and women. Women were portrayed as pure elegance, angelic wives as well, and mothers without concern for material things, but they were also expected to communicate their families' social positions through their clothing and appearance. In the 1850s and 1860s, women's magazines moralized about the need for women to embrace the role of homemaker, but by the mid-1870s, many of them were running stories that glamorized showy clothes and illustration of beautiful dressed women in public spaces. Common scenes included women boarding a train or talking in groups at a cafe. As department stores transformed fashion consumption in the last quarter of the 19th century, the magazines increasingly showed images of women shopping. The illustration often did, despite an elegant dressed woman choosing from a variety of hats or accessories. Brewer writes that the journals not only encourage the act of public buying, but engage the reader in a form of private surrogate shopping. For the third price of a journal, women bought the opportunity to pursue a fantasy world which released them from the intimate pressure of home. The magazine pushed their own form of male dominance, that the idea that women should dress to please men, as well as the emerged notion of consumers as a rate to happiness, but they also offer a vision of freedom and independence that is still part of the appeal of today's women magazines. So, like I said, I figured I'd just give a little bit background on the first magazine for women as well. I hope that you had learned something throughout this modeling magazine channel and on this episode as well. Again, if you are a model or know anyone in any of this type of fashion industry world, please let me know, because I'm trying to be like you all. I'm trying to not be me. I want you. Again, thank you all for joining and coming on here today. Have a good rest of your day. I'll catch you on my next channel. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.